Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindful Muscle Podcast with my co-host Jodi Dolo. How you doing today?
I'm great. If you're new here, welcome. Gio and I are two friends who individually went on our own health and wellness journeys and collectively have lost 140 pounds and have kept it off. And we're here
Yes.
to help the beginner to show them it is possible in sustainable ways and we're worth it. If you're new on your journey or even if you're intermediate in your journey, be sure to hit like and subscribe today.
Amen. Jodi, let the audience know what we're going to be talking about today.
Today, we are going to talk to Gio about his story because it's been a while. We've revamped our YouTube channel. We've had new listeners join in. So we want to make sure everybody's aware of his great transformation story, what led him to start his journey and how he's been able to manage it. But on top of that, I want to know if he had to start over his journey tomorrow, what he would do differently. I'm sure we will learn a lot from him today.
Yeah. So when you introduced the topic a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, what would be the first thing that I would change? But before we get into that, let me tell the audience what happened. I've always been in shape my entire life, but then my wife and I had trouble conceiving, and at the age of 42, we had our first child. However, because she has celiac disease, people with celiac disease tend to miscarriage in second trimester more than regular first trimester miscarriages. Long story short, my wife started eating a fourth meal to support the growth of the child, and I joined her. Because we were so worried about the pregnancy, I stopped exercising, I stopped golfing. It really wasn't until age 47 that I really snapped out of it and didn't realize how much I let myself go.
How many kids do you have today?
I have three girls at the moment. It was 10 months after going gluten free that we conceived, and also a powerful prayer for those who believe in faith. Just a powerful prayer that a friend of ours let out. And the only thing I'll mention about that is that he said, look, the Lord impressed me to pray about it. And within 6 months, the three other times I have had these special prayers have conceived. Lo and behold, it was 5 months later we conceived. And so now we have three beautiful baby girls. I'm 50 pounds overweight. Started with exercise, but the wrong kind. I was walking about 3 miles after every meal. Since I
Oh,
work from
wow.
home, it was possible. So I'd eat breakfast, walk 3 miles, a route around my neighborhood. I eat lunch,
Mhm.
another 3 miles. But I wasn't losing the weight.
Mm.
Then my mother-in-law, who has since passed, is a nutritionist, and she said, "You're eating too much." And I didn't think so. Nobody thinks they're eating too much. So I decided the only way to find out if I'm eating too much is I learn how to track it. I found a fabulous app called the Lose It app, and I highly recommend it. I've been using it since. The first time I put a cup of rice and a cup of beans, I looked at that and I said to myself, I'm going to starve, because I began to realize that I was eating way too much. But then by the time I added salad and some side dish, at the time I was eating processed veggie meats and stuff, some veggie meat, a slice of bread, ate some fruit, I realized, wait a minute, I'm not hungry. So it really made me realize that I was overeating. So when I combined calorie tracking and continue the walking, I began to lose weight. However, I didn't like the weight that was coming off. First of all, it wasn't coming off as fast as I wanted to. And second of all, I just felt skinny fat, less weight. Like I still felt not good. And it wasn't until I found Fitbod and started lifting weights that the weight came off in the way I wanted it to come off.
Mhm. What year did you start and how much weight have you lost?
Yes. So I started in May of 2020 tracking the calories. Coincidentally, those who remember, that's the year COVID started. In March, right before the pandemic closed, I knew I wanted to get back in shape. So I had bought a Peloton and an Inspire FT2 trainer. It's a cable machine with a Smith machine. but I still really didn't know what I was doing with it. So I started concentrating on food first. I was glad that I bought those things, but it wasn't really until I found Fitbod that I started knowing what to do and how to use it that the weight started coming off. This may sound, no offense to Jody here, but I got scared when I saw 199.5. I had been 170, 175. I was deathly afraid to cross the 200-pound mark. And so that really woke me up, and I didn't want to cross that. I remember the first day I saw that, I don't think I ate the next day. I just I just didn't want to cross that mark. And so I got, so 199.5, I got down to 149.5. I keep saying 55 pounds, but it was only 50 pounds. The lowest I got was 149.5 at 12.4% body fat. I'm currently at 168 at 13% body fat. I want to get down to 10 by January 1st, but I don't think that's going to happen because I noticed on this prolonged mini cut the last couple of weeks, I haven't been sleeping well. So I took a break. I ate 3 days consecutively on maintenance, and I slept like a baby.
Yeah, it makes a
So,
difference
yeah,
sometimes.
yes, when on a prolonged cut, what I decided to do now is I'm eating not at a 500 calorie deficit, on a 250 calorie deficit yesterday and today, and I'll do it again tomorrow. And then the rest of the week, I'll go to maintenance. Next week, I'll see if I can begin my cut again. I just want to
Mhm.
experience what it is to be below 10%. If it's not for me, I could always gain the weight, but I'm at the point in my life where I'm my own guinea pig. And so might as well play along.
Absolutely. Now, looking back at your fitness and health journey, what are some key lessons you would still apply if you started over again tomorrow?
Oh, that's a great question, Jody. I think the mindset, even though I had the mindset at the beginning that once I was going to start doing it, I was going to stick to it because I had awakened. It seems like from 42 to 47, those 5 years, I was just like in a stupor. Nobody was challenging me. Nobody said I had gained a lot of weight. I was just oblivious. I was so worried about
Mhm.
the children and my wife that I was completely, the mindset would stay the same, but now it's more intense. I know I can achieve anything I want physically. Obviously, to a
Mhm.
limit. I don't think I'll ever bench 400 pounds, right? But I've done 225, which most people don't. Well, I think less than 3% do. So the mindset would stay the same and actually it would be intensified.
Starting with nutrition.
Hmm.
Say you magically came back that weight you originally were, you're 199.5, and you
Yeah.
had to start over. What would you change with nutrition?
It's interesting that I've learned to enjoy eating more. I really can taste the flavors of blueberries, natural applesauce, raspberries, even rice and beans. A lot of people say all beans taste the same, but I'm starting to notice the slight difference in black beans, pinto beans, red beans, garbanzos. If I had to start all over, I would change the processed meats that vegans are known to eat because that high salt content distracts you from noticing the flavors in natural food like
Mhm.
kale, spinach, tomatoes, avocados, onions, rice, beans, and pastas. I would cut off all the high sodium veggie meats. The reason I thought I needed them was for the protein, but I have since cut them off since July of this past year. And I still can get as much protein as I need from other things. Now, I do have to plan it a little bit more. Before it was just three Morningstar veggie patties. That's 30 grams of protein right there. So I have to think about it more, but I'm not going back. So
Mm.
I don't want to say, I don't want to call it healthier, but I would eat less processed. And the mindset now would know, hey, I don't need that processed food. Right? Back then I thought I needed it. That's what I would do nutrition wise.
This is kind of a combination between mindset and nutrition. I know that every Saturday you eat a ton of ice cream.
Yep.
But when you were started, did you have the mindset that you couldn't eat bad foods? Did you back then?
No, I didn't. I don't know why I didn't because I don't know, maybe my upbringing or stuff. Because I grew up eating rice, beans, and salad for breakfast, eating occasional potato chips and stuff like that. But I did right away notice that a lot of those foods weren't worth it for my calorie dollar. I still know that 14 Tostitos are 150 something calories. Nobody eats just 14 Tostitos, right? So let's say you're going to be so hungry. And that's what I
Mhm.
wanted to avoid. I didn't want to feel hungry. Married to a doctor. And in my denomination, there is what we call the health message where we try to eat health. I just didn't want to feel hungry. And so I knew to avoid those things almost right away. And then I would track things and I'd realize, yeah, that's not worth the calories.
That's the worst feeling when you eat something and you're like, "I'm still hungry, it wasn't." Then you look it up and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that really wasn't worth
Yeah.
what I just paid the price for."
And that's exactly the thing. It's not that it's bad food, but who wants to pay, let's say, $500 for a dress that she can pay $50 for and still look just as good?
Mhm.
Right? No
Oh, I'm
woman's going
cheap.
to do that. Right? No woman's going to do. So why am I going to not eat something that I like, that fills me up, that's nutritious, it's going to avoid me feeling hungry, to eat chips that I know are not nutritious and I'm
Mhm.
going to feel hungry 2 seconds later. So it's not bad. It's just not worth it. It's a luxury.
Yep. Is there anything else you would change, either mindset or nutrition-wise?
Yes, yes. And so not only would I stop the processed meat, I would play more with my calories throughout the week if I had to do it again. When I first was started losing weight, I was so strict about staying on a 500 calorie deficit. What would happen is that my body, kind of like I just shared now, my body would naturally hit a plateau where it would force me to go on maintenance to then begin to lose weight again. So,
Mhm.
what I've been trying to do now, perhaps because I've gone on too long of a cut, is eating at a 500 calorie deficit since August and now to November. I've been adding a maintenance day. So, calorie deficit, but even that's catched up to where I had to add a calorie maintenance week. I would play with that. Don't be so strict on it. One day, eat maintenance, lose weight for 14 days. Then the next day, um, the next 14 days, eat maintenance 2 days, and then calorie deficit. I would play with it more. And that's what I
Mhm.
would do from the get go. Another thing on the nutrition side, how to play with the calories throughout the day. Something I've been doing, messing around with, eat a big breakfast, smaller lunch, bigger dinner. That's how I prefer. Before I was so regimented, had to be equal dinner, equal breakfast,
Mhm.
equal lunch. Now I play with it because it's easier for me to skip a meal. I could easily skip lunch. I could find myself busy enough either recording something or editing something
Mhm.
or reading or writing to skip lunch. So sometimes it's just easier. Protein shake, one bowl of fruit, and I can have more calories. That would help somebody who doesn't want to feel overtly hungry at dinner while they're losing weight. If you're at
Mhm.
work at a 9 to 5, it's easy to skip lunch. Like on Saturdays, part of the reason I've been eating a lot of ice cream on Saturdays is our Saturdays have been so busy. This past Saturday, we went to a nursing home to sing and preach. All I had was 2 protein bars, 380 calories. That day was a full cut day. So I ate a 800 calorie breakfast, 380 calorie lunch, 2 protein bars, and I was so busy I didn't even think about it. Then when I got home for dinner, I had 800 calories, close to 900 calories. So I'm fine. So Mess with it. Don't be so regimented. It's what I'm saying.
Mhm. Going back to what you were saying about maintenance, I think a lot of people, especially somebody starting out or intermediate, they're terrified at the thought of maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're so afraid that they're going to gain everything back. Maintenance does not mean throw out every habit that you've learned
Mm-hmm.
and quit. It just means you're eating enough calories to keep your weight the same. It does not mean you're failing or going backwards.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's another thing. I've been doing it now long enough to know I'm no longer a big proponent of high protein. Not that I'm eating low protein, I'm still eating higher than the average, but I'm at the lower end of those numbers. Keep it between zero point 0.7 and 1 gram. Some people go
Mhm.
above that. I'm at the zero point 0.7. And I've noticed that eating more carbs has actually helped my energy throughout the day. I'm even at a 500 calorie deficit, I'm still getting almost as much carbs as if I was eating at maintenance. I've lowered the protein and I'm still making gains even on a cut, and
Mhm.
I don't see any difference. So I've figured it out on the kilogram. I'm eating 1.2 of kilogram per body weight, which is the low end. It's around zero point 0.7. They pump us with, "Oh, you need protein, protein, protein." Yeah, you need it, but you don't need it at the high end, unless perhaps you're training for a competition like deadlifting or something. I don't miss it, and I prefer the higher carbs, more energy throughout the day, less brain fog.
Moving to fitness. This is going to be a question about your training, what you would do
Hmm.
different, and also your gym. I know a lot of people might not know it, but Gio has a gorgeous home gym. I'm curious if there's something you would have skipped buying or something you would have bought sooner if you were starting over tomorrow.
Yes. If I was starting over tomorrow, the answer is definitely yes. I was never into weightlifting prior to this renaissance of losing the weight. And so I was afraid, not afraid like, oh, but like a healthy fear of free weights. Because you hear and you see videos of people working out by themselves and the bench pinning them and nobody's there to help. And so I was like, so let me get, I at first thought of getting the Tono. It's a machine that
No.
goes up against the wall, all electronic, kind of like the Peloton for weightlifting. It's a cable machine.
Mhm.
But then I started seeing people complain that you can max out the deadlift at 240 real quick. 240 is easy for most males. So I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then it didn't have anything for squatting. So I said, all right, let me get a cable machine. I got the cable machine and I love it. I still have it. I use it. However, if I had to do it again, I'd get a cage first. I eventually got a power rack, but that was maybe 2 years into the transformation. I would get one right away. That's the first piece of equipment I would get. Free weights. Nothing beats free weights. I don't care who it is, whether it's iron weights or bumper plates. Free weights is the way to go. It's the most versatile. And if you're worried about safety issues, do what I did. I got me a full 6 post rack with all the safety straps and everything. It allows me to, I have failed several lifts when I'm trying to max out. And you could, let me back up. The first time I ever failed a bench lift, my wife walks in the room in the gym.
Oh no.
So she's laughing at me as the bar's hanging on the straps and I have to get underneath it and stuff. But anyway, free weights, nothing beats it. It's the most versatile. It is the most true to weight. Like with cable machine, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So you really don't know how much you're pulling or pushing. And it can become ego when you think you're pulling more than you want. And then you got to remember, you got to divide the weight. So cable machines are important, but I would start with free weights. Free weights is the way to go. If you can't get a rack, I would start with adjustable dumbbells. Free weights. And if you have the space, get a rack. Cable machine second, and adjustable dumbbells third.
Mm. What would you change with your fitness plan? Or
Yes, so I started with 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Then I realized for my mental health, that if I did it every day, it would help me be more consistent. Not that I was missing days when I was doing 3, but I found myself not doing anything on the other days. Hardly walking, not getting on my Peloton. I realized that when I lifted weights, I wanted to do more of other things. So I would jump into a 6-day routine right away. I wouldn't be afraid of it. The beauty of a 6-day routine, I know it's easier for me because I work from home. Those of you who work 9 to 5 outside, it may be difficult. So I'm not downing anybody, but we're talking about what I would do different. I'd jump into a 6-day routine right away. The workouts are shorter and you can hit more muscles. The first time I went into a 6-day routine, I went into push, pull, leg. I enjoyed that till this past July, where I decided to go upper, lower 3 days a week. Well, 6 days a week. So upper on Sunday, lower on Monday, upper on Tuesday, lower on Wednesday, upper on Thursday, lower on Friday. I've gone from the push pull, and I like that better, at least in this season. Just hit upper body and do it 3 times, where push pull legs, you're only hitting things twice a week.
Is there anything on the fitness front you would change?
Yes, I would continue more with the Peloton at the beginning. I used to do it more often. Sometimes when I was having trouble sleeping, it turned out to be because I've been on the cut for too long. I was wondering, am I not getting enough high intensity cardio? I started getting back on the Peloton, and that has helped too. Those of us who don't run, Jodi and I, we don't like to run. There's got to be a way to get high intensity cardio. I would continue the Peloton, but I noticed that on this prolonged mini cut that I've been doing, why am I calling it a mini cut? On this prolonged cut, I haven't been doing that as much. And so I got to get back on the Peloton, got to stay cardio fit. And so that's what I got to stay on top.
How can someone who feels stuck waiting for the perfect plan understand that the most important step is to just get started?
Well, I like what you said. There is no perfect plan. What works for Jodi will not work for me. Not only is she a woman and I'm a man, but she eats less calories than I do. Her plan necessarily. Now, CrossFit may work for me, but I would have to tailor it to myself. So there are no perfect plans. What I would tell somebody is get started. Only when you get started do you have enough information to make adjustments. If you never get started, what are you going to adjust? There's nothing to adjust. So just get started. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong the first times. That's what the adjustments are for. I can tell you when I first started bench, and since I was benching on my cable machine, which has a Smith machine, I was way too open like this. I was benching like this, which is bad, right? So you got to be more on this angle. And so you just make the adjustment. But if you don't start, there's no space to make adjustments. I'm no genius. If you know how to read, get on the internet, listen to shows like ours, do some research, have fun with it, and make it a lifestyle, not something you're going to do to lose weight. Jodi has lost, combined, we have lost over 140 pounds. And this has become a lifestyle. It's not something we're going to turn off at her next birthday or my next birthday or at the end of the year. I'm my own guinea pig and I enjoy it. I love it.
I'm sure you would agree, even though there are things that you would change if you were starting over, that doesn't change the fact that you're grateful for getting started and having to learn the lessons.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you did start over tomorrow, there would be lessons from that second go around that you would tweak. We're always going to learn. We're always going to modify. We're always going to have to pivot sometimes when our bodies, our goals change.
I mentioned in a previous episode, I think during the holiday, that the person I am today, even with what I've learned that I would change if I had to start over, I'm not going to be the same person in 6 years. Now, what doesn't change is the principles behind who I will be. I'll still be 100% plant-based. I will still lift weights, because those are non-negotiables at this point. Who knows what comes out in 6 years? I may be on a tonal wannabe that's all electronic and tracks everything for you. I don't think I'll ever give up free weights because they're just so versatile and so useful. But I can't already limit, I'm not going to limit myself of what I'm going to be in 6 years from now. The principles are going to stay the same. I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat healthy. But the way I go about it, I'm not going to limit myself.
Close us out, Gio. Give us that nugget of wisdom, Geoism. Give us a
Yes.
Geoism.
Here is what I want to say to anybody listening. You're never too old to get started. People have asked me, what are you working out for? Why are you so consistent? And I tell them, I'm working out because I want to be there for my children. I'm working out for life. And when it comes to food, just make better choices, but nothing is off limit. Just keep it in the calories that you are allotted to if you want to lose weight. If you want to gain weight, don't overdo it. Find a eating lifestyle that all you have to do to gain weight is eat more of it, and all you have to do to lose weight is eat less of it. Diets don't work. Nothing in the extreme works because it may work short time, but it will not work for the long run. Join us on the Mindful Muscle podcast. Ask us questions and we'll answer them as well as we can. Both Jodi and myself are certified personal trainers and nutrition coaches, and all we want to do is help people keep the weight off.
Absolutely.
Until next time on the Mindful Muscle podcast, we'll hear Jodi Dolo's wonderful story. Be blessed.